The Earth beneath our feet is not just a peaceful home, a calm blue planet. Deep beneath this fragile crust lies a giant furnace, a burning heart with unimaginable energy waiting to be unleashed. Sometimes, it is a giant fast asleep, and when that giant stirs, the most horrific tragedies in human history will unfold. The sky turns into a sea of fire, the ground shakes, and civilization is wiped out in just a few hours. In today's video, we will not only review the numbers, we will travel back in time together, to the depths of destruction, to witness the 11 most terrifying times the Earth has raged. From cities buried alive in the blink of an eye, to winters lasting for years because ash and dust block out the sun. Are you ready to face the true power of our planet? Let's begin. 1. Pompeii, the Symphony of Death, the year 79. A.D. At the foot of the majestic Mount Vesuvius, the city of Pompeii was a bustling commercial and resort center of the Roman Empire. Life went on as usual, with parties, markets, and cheerful laughter. They had no idea that the mountain they considered a gentle protector was actually a ticking time bomb. And then, that bomb exploded. A column of ash, rock, and toxic gases, tens of kilometers high, was blasted straight into the sky, blocking out the sunlight. The sky turned dark, but that was only the prelude. The real disaster came afterward with pyroclastic flows, clouds of death hotter than 1,000 degrees Celsius, rushing down at hundreds of kilometers per hour, burning and burying everything in their path. Pompeii and the neighboring city of Herculaneum were wiped out, and more than 16,000 people were buried under layers of ash up to 6 meters thick, preserving their tragedy intact for thousands of years to come. 2. Krakatoa, 1883, the loudest scream on the planet. Can you imagine how loud a sound can be? So loud that it traveled around the Earth 4 times and could be heard from a distance of 5,000 kilometers? That was the scream of Krakatoa in 1883. The eruption of the volcano on the island of the same name in Indonesia had an explosive power equivalent to 200 megatons of TNT, 13,000 times more powerful than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. The explosion destroyed almost the entire island and created tsunamis up to 40 meters high, devastating hundreds of coastal villages and claiming the lives of over 36,000 people. The sky around the world changed colors for years afterward. Fiery sunsets, blue moons. Krakatoa proved that an event in one place can change the entire planet. 3. Tambora, 1815, the summer that never came. If Krakatoa impressed with its sound, Tambora, also in Indonesia, changed history with its deadly silence. The 1815 eruption of Tambora was the largest eruption in modern history, rated 7 on the Volcanic Explosivity Index, VEI. It released a massive amount of ash and sulfur dioxide gas into the stratosphere, creating a global veil. The consequence? The year 1816 is recorded in history as the year without a summer. Global temperatures dropped sharply, causing crop failures, famine, and widespread disease in the northern hemisphere. Tens of thousands of people starved to death. This climate disaster even influenced culture, inspiring Mary Shelley to write the classic novel Frankenstein during a gloomy summer vacation in Switzerland. 4. Mount Pelée, 1902, the breath of the dragon. Sometimes destruction does not come from lava or ash, but from a silent and deadly breath. In 1902, the city of Saint-Pierre on the island of Martinique was known as the Paris of the Caribbean. But on this paradise island, Mount Pelée was silently awakening. On the fateful morning of May 8th, instead of a vertical explosion, Mount Pelée erupted a pyroclastic flow, a cloud of superheated toxic gas and ash, rushing down the city at a terrifying speed. In just 3 minutes, all 30,000 residents of Saint-Pierre were incinerated alive. An entire city was flattened. The miracle was that 2 people survived, one of whom was Louis-Auguste Cypras, a prisoner protected by the thick walls of his cell. A horrifying lesson about instantaneous destruction. 5. Nevado del Ruiz, 1985, a foretold tragedy. The tragedy is even more painful when it could have been completely prevented. The 1985 eruption of Nevado del Ruiz in Colombia was not a major geological eruption, but it was one of the deadliest disasters of the 20th century. The problem was not the explosion itself, but what it caused. The heat from the eruption melted the glaciers on the mountain peak, creating a massive flow of mud, rocks, and debris called a lahar. This lahar rushed down to the valleys at a speed of 60 km/h, engulfing the town of Armero in a sea of mud. More than 23,000 people died. Notably, scientists had warned of this risk weeks earlier, but the warnings were ignored. Armero is a heartbreaking example showing that sometimes the greatest disaster is not caused by nature, but by human negligence. 6. Laki, 1783, the slow death from the sky. Not all destruction comes from a single explosion. Sometimes it is a slow, prolonged, and painful death. The Laki eruption in Iceland in 1783 was not a classic cone-shaped volcano. Instead, a 27 kilometers long fissure opened on the ground, continuously erupting lava and toxic gases for 8 months. A massive amount of sulfur dioxide and hydrogen fluoride gases were released, creating a toxic acid fog that covered Iceland and much of Europe. In Iceland, it killed more than half of the livestock and caused a catastrophic famine that resulted in the deaths of 25% of the population. The fog spread to Europe, causing thousands of deaths from respiratory diseases and altering the climate, leading to an unusually harsh winter. Laki is a reminder that invisible enemies can sometimes be even more terrifying than fire and rock. 7. Thera, around 1600 BC, the Atlantis civilization. Fact or fiction? Perhaps this is the eruption that has entered legend. About 3,600 years ago, the island of Thera, now Santorini, Greece, was the center of the flourishing Minoan civilization. But then, the volcano at the center of the island awakened in an explosion said to be many times larger than Krakatoa. The explosion blew away the central part of the island, creating massive tsunamis that devastated the Minoan settlements on the nearby island of Crete. The enormous ash column may have caused a short volcanic winter, affecting both Egypt and China. Many historians and archaeologists believe that the sudden collapse of the Minoan civilization and the memory of this terrible disaster are the origins of the legend of the city of Atlantis sinking beneath the sea, a civilization wiped out by one of the greatest eruptions in history. 8. Ilopango, 539 CE. The darkening of the Maya. The Maya civilization, famous for its achievements in astronomy and architecture, experienced a mysterious dark period in the 6th century. Many cities seem to have been abandoned. What was the cause? The answer may lie in a super eruption in present-day El Salvador, the Ilopango volcano. This eruption is believed to have spewed a massive amount of ash across Central America, blocking out the sun and causing a prolonged volcanic winter. Temperatures dropped, crops failed, famine and disease spread. This event, known as the extreme weather event of 535-536, coincides with the decline of many Maya centers. Ilopango not only destroyed the surrounding area, it may have altered the entire developmental trajectory of one of the greatest civilizations in the Americas. 9. Pinatubo, 91, when science triumphs. Amid stories of destruction, there are still bright spots of hope and human intelligence. The 1991 eruption of Mount Pinatubo in the Philippines was the second largest eruption of the 20th century. After more than 500 years of dormancy, it awoke violently, spewing a column of ash up to 35 kilometers into the atmosphere. However, it was also one of the greatest successes in volcanology. Thanks to close monitoring and accurate forecasts by Filipino and American scientists, a large-scale evacuation was carried out. Tens of thousands of people were moved to safety before the most catastrophic explosion occurred. Although the disaster still caused heavy damage, the death toll was significantly reduced. Pinatubo is proof that by listening to and respecting the power of the earth, we can learn to live with it. 10. Toba, 74,000 years ago, the supervolcano that nearly caused human extinction. Host. All the eruptions we've just mentioned are just small sparks compared to this monster. About 74,000 years ago, on the island of Sumatra, a supervolcano named Toba erupted. This was not an ordinary eruption. It was an extinction-level event. The Toba eruption released an unimaginable amount of energy and ejected nearly 3,000 cubic kilometers of material, creating a 15-centimeter thick layer of ash that covered all of South Asia. It caused a volcanic winter lasting from 6 to 10 years and sharply lowered global temperatures for the following 1,000 years. According to the Toba catastrophe theory, this event pushed humanity to the brink of extinction, reducing the human population to just a few thousand. We, all of us, may be descendants of the few who survived that horrific disaster. 11. The Sleeping Giant, Yellowstone. Our journey through the most terrifying volcanic disasters in history has ended, but the story of Earth's power has not. Just beneath the surface of Yellowstone National Park in the United States, another supervolcano lies dormant. A massive magma chamber large enough to contain the city of New York multiple times over. Scientists say it erupts on a cycle of about 600,000 to 800,000 years, and the last eruption was 640,000 years ago. We do not know when it will awaken again. It could be tomorrow, or it could be thousands of years from now. But if it happens, it will be a planet-changing event, making every disaster we have ever known seem small. The question is, are we ready? From Pompeii to Toba, we have witnessed the terrifying yet magnificent power of our planet. These stories are not only reminders of the fragility of life, but also lessons in humility. We are merely guests on this planet, a living, breathing world that sometimes rages. Thank you for joining us on this emotional journey. Which eruption impressed you the most? Please leave a comment below. And if you enjoy exploring history and science content like this, don't forget to like, share this video, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss our next adventures. See you in the next video.